Hello, everyone. This is long overdue, but welcome to another episode of recapping the summer I turned pretty. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about is season 3, episode 8, the episode that aired last week. And like I just said, I know I'm uploading this late, but actually, I feel like this might be a good time since episode 9 comes out tomorrow that you guys can watch this, recap episode 8 with me. We'll have a discussion in the comments, we'll talk about it, and we'll get pumped for episodes 9 through 11 because it's like literally a whole different show at this point. The transition that they're making and the trailer they dropped was incredible, but we're definitely getting a different vibe, right, for the last 3 episodes. So this is going to be fun. And if you've never seen my face before, hi, my name is Stella, and I make videos about all things media, that being books, TV shows, movies, and I also make the occasional lifestyle, beauty content, product reviews, things like that. If that's your jam, I would love it if you gave me a follow. And this is one of my series on here where I am recapping, analyze, and discussing with you guys the Summer I Turn Pretty each week as it comes out. Let's just get into the episode. All right, I'm going to try to rapid fire through a lot of these scenes because I want to make sure I have ample time to get through everything. But we start the episode off where Belly is alone in the house because the boys are out on the dad's boat and Taylor went for a run. Annika went to yoga. Also, could not be me the night after a bachelorette, but like, whatever. But it turns out Conrad's home, so Belly and him kind of get into an argument about last night's events on the beach. Conrad tries to like lie again, which is his usual thing, but actually here I get why he was trying to lie because genuinely what is he supposed to do because Belly rejected him and he feels like the best thing for her probably is just to be like, okay, forget I said it, I was drunk, blah blah. But she calls him out on it and then they get into like a tiff and he just can't hold it in anymore. So he is like completely honest. He's like, you broke my heart last night. She is acting crazy. The one thing I love about this episode is I actually feel like this episode is peak Belly at her bad behavior. Like in the way that she is not herself. She is not being a good friend. She is not being I would say she's trying to be a good partner to Jeremiah actually, but she's not being a good friend. She's not being a good human and she has totally lost herself. And I love that she tries to hide everything, but Conrad confronts her on it. He's like, you rejected me. What do you want from me? I love you. I will always love you. We had a moment, at Christmas. And what about this summer? Like, I'm done, like, playing. I love how he said it. I said, I'm not pretending for you anymore. And I just think it's crazy because, again, I feel like this is peak Belly at like her bad behavior. Because how are you going to tell him to get out when it's literally his house? And then Conrad gets like a rush from this, from finally being honest. And so we see him driving away, feeling like, wow, I got that off my chest. And Belly's narration here was really great, saying that Conrad made her feel everything. And when he tells a girl he loves her, he means it. And she takes a look at Junior Mint and she still has the necklace. Sorry. Then Taylor actually confronts Conrad and is like, oh, you're confusing her, blah, blah, blah. And the only thing I have to say about this is I think in this scene, Taylor really bothered me, but I do think that this was her finally realizing, number one, how similar her and Conrad are, and number two, that Conrad does love Belly. It's way more complicated than what she has thought and what Belly has told her in the past, because I guess from Taylor's perspective, we do have to throw her a bone that like she's really only heard what her best friend has told her, right? So it makes sense that she wouldn't like him. Okay, more rapid fire stuff. Belly and Taylor talk. Taylor tells Belly Conrad said something to me, blah, blah, blah. Belly like doesn't even want to talk about it. She hopes he leaves and doesn't even attend the wedding or the rehearsal. Belly, I thought this was really funny up in the right-hand corner when she says to her mom, or are you going to try to talk me out of it? And her mom's like, no, it's all you now. I totally feel like that was Belly being like, please save me. I think she wanted to hear from her mom one more time. Like, don't do it. And again, we have peak Belly being like rude because she's like, why is he even here? In her narration, in her mind, duh, girl. Like, why else do you think he's here? The rehearsal happens and we see tension, obviously. Okay, then at the rehearsal dinner, I really did enjoy that Taylor's mom finally said, I'm the parent. You shouldn't have to shoulder the burden of anything. And Taylor is obviously very upset about Steven and Denise. And then Jeremiah and Belly finally come together before the dinner. Now, I wanted to take a brief moment to talk about the speeches, okay? Because, well, really, Jeremiah's speech. Because taking Belly out of the equation, I think that this scene really shows how fractured their relationship is, Conrad and Jeremiah. Jeremiah cannot think of anything else to say about his brother besides, oh, you're so loyal. That's like crazy to me. And to all the people saying that Belly has ruined the relationship between the brothers, y'all, Adam is the culprit. Adam is the reason that these two are absolutely at odds. And I hate Adam. I hate him. Now, I have a full video on my page about how I think Jeremiah kind of got off easy in this episode where I talk about the job thing. So if you want to go watch that, that's on my page. But this job situation is a great example of Jeremiah not being a good partner, in my opinion. And I get it. He's allowed to take the job. He just found out about it. I completely understand. But we have to keep in mind that he encouraged Belly to not go to Paris. So I'm sure that both of them had an idea in their mind, or at least in Belly's mind, together about what married life was going to look like for them. And now he's uprooting it. And I feel like the only reason that she changed her mind on this was because she looked at Conrad and saw her them fighting, and I think she thought, okay, I gotta just do what he says because I need to appease him, and that's what love is. Then Jeremiah gets mad at Conrad because he won't go to ice cream with them, which I don't understand because it's like, dude, you didn't want him to go anyways. We all know that. But Conrad, as we know, was respecting Belly's boundaries. Conrad and Laurel talk. Laurel obviously knows that Conrad still loves Belly. I love that whole scene. Steven and Denise decide to stay friends, and then Belly goes for a swim because she's super anxious about the wedding. And can I just say that Making the Bed by Olivia Rodrigo is the perfect song for, I was hoping for this song because I think it sums up the whole season perfectly and how Belly and Jeremiah have made this mess of their own. Now, this scene is another example of Jeremiah being a bad partner, and let me explain. Belly goes to him to tell him that Conrad confessed his feelings. Now, we obviously as an audience know that she is anxious about this whole situation because she still has feelings for Conrad, but I do think that her going to Jeremiah was innocent on her part and actually trying to be like, let's solve this problem together as a unit. It's not about him, which is why I love that she said, forget him, forget Conrad. But Jeremiah's responses were childish, insecure, and jealous. He didn't want to talk about it with her. He wanted to go and pummel Conrad. And the fact that he knew that Conrad still had feelings for her way even before this whole wedding situation proves that he is just keeping secrets from her and festering all these problems without talking to her, which that's what you do. I also hate that she's the big spoon. The next day, Jeremiah is missing. Belly tells Steven about all of this, and Steven and Conrad kind of get into a little fight. Now, Steven really annoyed me in this scene. However, we do have to remember that that is his little sister, and he's just protecting her. I do hope that these two have some sort of resolution. Okay, the big fight. Conrad tries to convince Jeremiah to come back to the wedding. He ends up confronting him about the cheating. Jeremiah punches him again. And then after that, Conrad gives Susanna's letter that's supposed to be for Jeremiah to Jeremiah to read. And we find out it's Conrad's, and there was a mix up. Now I'm going to put more thoughts on the screen, so pause to read, but I do think that this is honestly the end of their relationship for a while. And I think Jeremiah needs therapy and he needs people to stop treating him like a child. And I think that Conrad really feels like he failed as a brother in this moment. But, here we are. I'm speeding through things because I'm running out of time. So again, pause to read. But Taylor really confesses that Belly should not get married. I agree with her. Everything she said in the scene was great. Belly treated her like crap, and Steven defended Taylor. This about the ring was insane. Again, pause to read, but Conrad lets Belly go. Taylor and Steven make up. Again, pause to read my thoughts, but Belly and Jeremiah do call off the wedding. And again, go to my other video about this, but I just felt like Jeremiah was blaming her for all the problems when he is also equally to blame. Ugh. Then Belly leaves Cousins and decides to go to Paris. And we end on a cliffhanger with her seeing Connie at the airport. Well, that's all I have for you guys. These episodes are jam-packed with so many things. I need to make a lot of other separate videos on them. So again, follow my page if you want more media stuff and more stuff about Summer I Turned Pretty. But I want to discuss with you guys in the comments. So please leave your thoughts and comments below. Don't be afraid to, even if you're the only one. And yeah, we will see each other this week for the new episode. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.